Hello and welcome to Social Republic. I'm your host Dhruvi, and today we are diving into one of the most pressing and emotional issues of unfolding across Maharashtra: the ongoing Maratha Reservation protests. These protests have been simmering for years, but in the recent weeks they have escalated into a movement that is impossible to ignore. The Maratha community, which makes up a significant portion of Maharashtra's population, is demanding reservations in education and government jobs, arguing that economic hardships and lack of representation have pushed them to the margins. The question arises, but why has this become such a flashpoint today? Well, let's take a step back. The Marathas are traditionally considered a dominant agrarian community. Yet, over time, factors like declining agricultural income, rising unemployment, and competition for limited resources have created deep frustration. The demand for inclusion under the OBC, that is, other backward classes quota, has been the central rallying cry. In 2018, the state government announced a special quota under the socially and educationally backward class SEBC category. But the Supreme Court later struck it down, citing the 50% reservation cap. Since then, the community has been caught in a cycle of hope, disappointment, and renewed protest. What makes the current wave of agitation so concerning is the scale and the intensity of it. We have seen hunger strikes, highways blocked, public offices shut down, and in some tragic cases, individuals even taking extreme steps out of the despair. Leaders of the protest say they will not back down until a concrete and permanent solution is in place. Now, here's where the politics enters. Successive governments, both at the central and state levels, have walked a tightrope. On one hand, they can't ignore the Maratha community, which plays a huge role in Maharashtra's political landscape. On the other, they face legal and constitutional hurdles that limit how far reservations can be expanded. And of course, any move in favor of one community often sparks counter-protests from others like the OBCs, who fear losing their share of opportunities. This is not just Maharashtra issues anymore, it is a national debate about how India balances social justice, constitutional limits, and the realities of the modern economics. Do we expand reservations beyond the 50% cap? Do we need to rethink how affirmative action is structured, perhaps moving toward an economic criteria model instead of purely caste-based? Or does that risk undermining decades of progress made for historically disadvantaged groups? Beyond the legal and political battles, there is a human story. When young people feel that their future is slipping away, when farmers feel abandoned, when the communities feel unheard, that is when the protests spill onto the streets. And that's what we are seeing with the Marathas right now. As citizens where we belong to the Maratha community or not, we need to ask tough questions. Is our current reservation system truly serving the people who need it most? Are governments using these issues as election tools instead of creating long-term reforms? And most importantly, how do we ensure that no community feels left behind in the India of tomorrow? The Maratha protests are not just about jobs and education opportunities, they are about dignity, equality, and the role of state in addressing deep socio-economic challenges. Whatever the eventual solution, one thing is completely certain, that ignoring this issue will no longer be an option. That's all for today's episode of Social Republic. If you found this discussion a bit thought-provoking, do share it with friends and let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Because these are not just community issues, these are issues that define the future of our democracy. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dhruvi signing off.